Hello, I'm going to present you comparison structures and the different way we can express comparison in technical English. Right, you know comparison is very important in technical English, and you have, as you want to describe objects and you have to describe processes or materials. Here you have a document where I express the different degrees of comparison. First, we have what we call inferiority. That means that when you want to express that something is inferior to another object or another thing or a person. For example, this screen is less big than yours. Other structures that can be used to express inferiority are not so plus the adjective or not as plus the adjective, as you can see in the document here, right? Another way of expressing comparison, when we contrast two objects or people, it's equality. That means that you are comparing and saying that two things or people are equal, right? To express equality, we use the structure as. This computer is as big as that one, right? Also, we can use structures as much and many, plus adjective. For example, I have as much money as you. Or you have as many books as your teacher. Also, we can express equality with another structure that is the same plus substantive. That is, they have the same car as you, right? For example. Okay. Another way of expressing comparison is superiority. That means when you want to say or describe an object as having superior qualities to another one. In this kind of a structure, we have to differentiate between the adjectives that have one syllable or end in Y and all the other adjectives. When we have one syllable adjectives or adjectives ending in Y, we'll use the structure you can see here in this document. We'll form adjective plus ER, we add this ending to the adjective, and followed by than. Than is in brackets because it's optional, right? We can say she's thinner, or we can say she's thinner than you. It depends on the context. If we know the context of the sentence, we don't need to say than, but sometimes it's useful to clarify the structure. In all the other adjectives, we use the structure more and the adjective followed by than as before is optional, right? For example, this sentence is more intelligent than the other one, for example. Intelligent is one adjective of more than one syllable, and it doesn't finish in Y, right? That's why we can use this structure with intelligent. Another structure is the superlative form. In the superlative form, as before, as with the superiority, we have to differentiate between one-syllable adjectives or ending in Y and all the other adjectives, right? Superlative structure is used to express that one object or one person has got a quality that is the best one. I mean, it's not comparable with others. We are saying that the quality of one object is the top one, right? And then we contrast one object or person with the rest of the group or with the rest of the world. It depends on the context, right? Okay, in this superlative structure, for example, we can say this book is the thickest, and then here we can use two prepositions, the preposition in and the preposition of. In, it's used when it refers to a place. And of, it's used when it refers to time. For example, this is the thickest book in the class, and this is the thickest book of the year, for example. This structure is also used, the in and of structure, I mean, it's also used with other adjectives when we use the most. For example, he is the most famous student in the class, or he is the most famous student of the year. Right? Okay, and these are the general structures that I'm sure that most of you know, right? And also we have here irregular adjectives. Irregular adjectives, as you know, are the adjectives that they form this comparative structure in a different way than a normal adjective. They change. For example, the adjective good, when it's this comparative, when I refer to comparative, that means superiority. When we form the superiority form, we say better here, right? And when we form the superlative, we say best. The best student, the best exercise. Bad, worse, and superlative worst. Ill. The superiority is worse, but it hasn't got the superlative form, as when you are very, very, very ill, really it is very difficult to express something that is not appropriate. And for far we have two forms. For old also we have two forms. And much many, they share the superiority and superlative form. Little, we have less and least. But I'm sure you know all these structures as they are commonly studied in secondary school, right? But also I have in this document other useful structures in technical English that I consider that could be very interesting as you are going to describe materials, processes, etc. We can use to compare to objects or to qualities, etc. Twice, half as, this structure. For example, this board is half as yours. Also, we have another interesting structure that is double the size, height of. One example you've got here is the Twin Towers were double the height of El Micalet. Right? And another one that is quite useful and it's very interesting that you remember that this structure, as there is not a direct translation into Spanish, it's this one. Well, what we do is we form the comparative structure of the adjective and we repeat it twice. In this case, for example, I wrote here higher, higher, but imagine that it's an adjective with more than one syllable. Then we have more and more intelligent, we would say, right? Really what we are doing here is adding the superiority form and repeating twice. For example, I've got here one sentence, he became richer and richer, or he became more and more intelligent. So as you can see, when we repeat this, we are saying that each time he was more and more the quality you want to describe. Okay? Another interesting structure is when we use most of the students are in the class. Most of the students are involved in projects, etc. Another one that you have here is the most commonly widely used. For example, when you're writing an article, they say the most commonly used term is, and then we express the term. Another one that I think it's very interesting is the more, the more. This time what we do is we start the sentence with the structure the more, and then we repeat the comparative structure in another part of the sentence. This time, as in the previous example here, this one, we don't repeat the same structure join the adjective with and. Really what we are doing is joining two sentences and saying that something will happen when you increase a quality or an activity. Here we say the more because really we are defining, qualifying the effort. But we could say the busier, the more tired. We can use this form, that like better, here or in the second part of the comparative structure. Then here you can see an example. The more you study, the better marks you get. That means the bigger the effort, the better, right? And as you can see, this is the way of saying this in English, and the direct translation is not possible in Spanish, right? Okay, another comparative structure is, this is such an important thing that, and when we have an adverb, we don't follow the adjective formation structure that I explained to you before. We have to say the most or more plus the adverb. For example, he drove more and more quickly, for example. Okay? Right, one example, because I think that theory is okay, but really the best way to understand a grammar unit or grammar lesson is to practice, right? Well, I like to practice comparison in this way. I mean, you have a sentence, a situation, a context, and then you have to express a comparative structure, not just filling a gap that it's the exercise quite usual at secondary school, right? For example, here, in the example you can see here on the board, your friend has just told a joke which you think is very funny. This is the situation, no? The situation that what I want you to do now is to express all this situation using a comparative structure, one of the others I explained you before. For example, you say, and here is the answer, really. That's the funniest joke I've ever heard. Then we are using the superlative form, right? Then this way of practicing comparison is very useful from my point of view because you can use grammar and vocabulary and the way you can express or are able to express in English, right? Okay, another example. She's a very good student. So now you have to finish the sentence, right? She's very good. Really, what we want to say is she's the best student in the class or in the world or the university, etc. Whatever you like. Then the superlative form again, right? You can do other sentences. You can say comparison in other ways, but these are just examples. The station was nearer than I thought. Then, now the comparative structure. The station wasn't as far as I thought. Then, the inferiority form. Not as, right? Another one, it's I still feel a bit tired, but I felt a lot more tired yesterday. I don't feel as, then we have a situation, and then from this situation we have to say, for example, I don't feel as tired as yesterday. Another one is this one, traveling is becoming, right? And so you can see here the answer. Traveling is becoming more and more expensive. That's what I told you before. This is a structure that is quite useful to express in English and is not very used when you're expressing in English. Another one is, as I waited for the exam, I became, so as we did before, I became more and more nervous. We are using the same structure. Another example of comparison is this one. We were very busy at work today. We are not usually as busy as that. And then we will say, we are busier than usual, using the superiority form. Another one is, I expected you to arrive at about 4. In fact, you arrived at 3. And then we say, you arrived earlier than I thought. The superiority form again. So as you can see, we have a situation, a context, and from this context, we express a comparative form. Peter was a good person. And the last one is, Peter was a good person, now he's a millionaire, but nobody likes him. What would you say? We would say, the richer he is, the less friends he has. For example, using this structure I also explained you before, that is we repeat the superiority form with the article the. The richer, the less friends. Okay? Then I consider comparison is not very difficult, but you have to practice it quite a lot. So if you use all the documents you have in the intranet of the university, I think you will know quite a lot of comparison and learn how to use it when describing objects or people. Thank you very much for your attention, and see you.